Hey, what's up guys? Combat Critique here. In this video, I want to give my pick for this upcoming co-main event of UFC 288 that is between Gilbert Durinho Burns and Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad. Let's get started. If we talk about the records of these two fighters, starting with Gilbert Burns, he has 27 fights and he has won 22 out of them, lost just 5. If we talk about his wins, 6 have come via knockout and 9 have come via submission. 7 have come via decision, so pretty balanced. However, he is a submission expert, he is a BJJ expert, so that shows in his record as well. If we talk about the 5 losses, 2 have come via knockout and 3 have come via decision. This man has never been subbed in his pro career. And if we talk about Bilal, so Bilal has 26 fights, so similar experience between these two in terms of overall MMA fights, and Bilal has won 22 and lost 3. Out of these 22 wins, he has 5 via knockout, just 1 via submission, and 16 via decision. So if Bilal wins, likely he'll not get a sub. He has a slight chance of knocking out Gilbert Burns, but mostly it will be via decision. If we talk about his 3 losses, one has come via knockout and the other 2 via decision. So again, if this man loses or wins, it will be likely via a decision. He also has won no contest against Leon Edwards, the reigning welterweight champion. Now let's talk about some of the physical statistics and the career statistics of these two fighters. Starting with the height, it is 5 feet 10 for Gilbert Burns and 5 feet 11 inches for Bilal. So Bilal will have a slight 1 inch height advantage. Weight is even at 170. I think this fight is scheduled at catch weight. Even if it's not catch weight, I don't think anybody will miss weight. I think both these guys are professionals. If we talk about the reach, it is 71 inches for Gilbert and 72 inches for Bilal. So he will have a slight 1 inch reach advantage as well. Gilbert Burns was a former lightweight, so he will be the smaller fighter. And I don't think this is a detriment in his, against him, because he has fought bigger guys and everyone in welterweight is pretty much bigger than Gilbert Burns, but he has won a lot of his fights. I don't think the height and reach disadvantage are big factors in this fight. If we talk about the stance, both these guys are orthodox stance fighters. And if we talk about the age, so both these guys are not that young, but Gilbert Burns is the slightly older fighter. He is older than Bilal by about 2 years. Now let's talk about the career statistics, starting with the striking numbers. So if we look at the first parameter, which is strikes landed per minute, this signifies the number of significant strikes that you land on your opponent per minute on average. This is 3.38 for Gilbert Burns and it is 4.47 for Bilal Muhammad. So Bilal is able to land a lot more strikes on his opponent, so he will have an advantage in this department. Next up, we have striking accuracy, that is 47% for Burns and 42% for Bilal. So in this case, Gilbert is more accurate and he will have an advantage. Strikes absorbed per minute, so this is the number of significant strikes that you absorb from your opponent per minute on average. That is 3.13 for Gilbert and 3.68 for Bilal. So in this case, the lower number is better because you are getting hit less, and so Gilbert Burns will have an advantage. Striking defense is 54% for Gilbert Burns and 58% for Bilal, so he will have an advantage in the striking defense number. Overall, striking is a mixed bag. I see some areas where Gilbert Burns does better, but I think Bilal also has good boxing and he has improved his striking recently. In his last fight, he knocked out Sean Brady. Nobody was expecting that. I think this fight will be very close on the feet. Now let's talk about some of the wrestling, grappling and submission average numbers. So starting with the first one, which is takedown average. This is 2.16 for Gilbert Burns and it is 2.19 for Bilal Muhammad. So very close neck to neck, but very slight advantage goes to Bilal. Takedown accuracy, that is 37% for Gilbert Burns and it is 35%. So again, very close between these two guys. Very slight advantage goes to Burns. Takedown defense 47% for Gilbert Burns, 92% for Belal. So Belal has better takedown defense and he will have an advantage. Submission average 0.6 for Gilbert Burns and 0.2 for Belal. So again, we know that Gilbert Burns is a former ADCC, competitor, and he is good on the ground. So he will have an advantage when it comes to BJJ and submissions. Overall, again, the wrestling and grappling, like the striking, is a 50-50 toss-up. There are areas like takedown accuracy and submissions where Gilbert Burns is better, and there are things like takedown defense in which Belal is better, and takedown average and takedown accuracy are pretty tied up between both these guys. So this fight statistically is a very even fight, and these two guys match up very well with each other. Their skills are pretty much the same, except the fact that the takedown defense of Belal is significantly better than Gilbert, but the ground game, the BJJ of Gilbert, is significantly better than Belal. Let's see some of the previous performances of these two guys. Starting with Gilbert Durinho Burns. In his last fight, he beat Jorge Masvidal via clear-cut unanimous decision. This was in UFC 287 in the last pay-per-view, and this fight happened in April of 2023. Now he is coming back at UFC 288, so very short notice fight for Gilbert. Nobody asked him to take this fight, but he is taking it. Props to Gilbert for taking such a tough challenger, top level guy, at such a short notice. Before that, Gilbert finished Neil Magny via submission, arm triangle choke in the very first round. This fight happened in January of this year. So again, Gilbert has gone a little bit crazy. He is fighting for the third time in less than 6 months. I don't think we have seen this kind of activity from Gilbert in the past. Before that, he lost to Khamzat Chimaev, and I think this fight probably flipped a switch in his mind. It was a good fight, and Khamzat was actually hurt by Gilbert. This was a 3-round fight and happened in April of last year. Before that, he beat Stephen Thompson, held him down and wrestled him for 3 rounds, won a clear unanimous win. Before that, he fought the former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, and in the first round of this fight, Gilbert was actually doing good and he hurt Kamaru, but later on Kamaru used his jabs and TKO'd Gilbert Burns in the third round. This was a good fight, and if we talk about the fights before that, Gilbert was on a tear. He beat Tyron Woodley, he beat Damian Maia via TKO, he beat Gunnar Nelson, he beat Alexei Kunchenko. So this man has fought a lot of big names in the division. His activity in the last few months has increased a lot. I don't know what he's thinking, how he's training, but he really wants to get that belt. He has that hunger, and he has got a title shot before. He's faced the big names. He's faced Khamzat Chimaev, Neil Magny, Jorge Masvidal, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the champion, former champion Kamaru Usman, former champion Tyron Woodley. A lot of big names in the resume of Gilbert Burns. I think this is what separates him from Belal. He has the experience. Now let's talk about the previous fights of Belal. In his last fight, he TKO'd Sean Brady in the second round. This fight happened in October of last year, and nobody was really expecting Belal to finish Sean Brady, that too via punches, but he did it and shocked everyone. Before that, he beat Vicente Luque, and this fight also a lot of people were doubting Belal, but he beat Vicente via unanimous decision. This was in April of last year, and this was a 5-round fight. Before that, Belal also beat Stephen Thompson via unanimous decision, and this fight was actually after Gilbert Burns beat Stephen Wonderboy. Belal pretty much used the same wrestling strategy that Gilbert also used against Wonderboy, and before that he beat Damian Maia via unanimous decision. Damian Maia was TKO'd by Gilbert Burns, and before that the eye poke incident happened with the current welterweight champion Leon Edwards, and before that he beat Diego Lima, he beat Lyman Goat and Takashi Sato via submission. He beat Curtis Millender via unanimous decision. And all these fights, all these wins, except the win that he had over Takashi and his latest win over Sean Brady, all these wins are decision wins. So Bilal is not a great finisher. If he wins, it will be likely a decision. And if he loses, as we have seen in the previous fight, then also it will be likely a decision loss. And before that, he lost via decision to Jeff Neal. This was in January of 2019. So more than 3 years have passed since then, and Bilal has not lost after losing to Jeff Neal. This was a 3 round fight. Overall, we have already seen how the stats between these two guys are neck and neck. In the striking wrestling department, grappling is slightly better for Gilbert Burns, but then the takedown defense of Bilal is better. The only difference which I feel is the experience level. I feel Gilbert Burns has faced stiffer competition, and because of that, I am picking Gilbert Burns to win this fight. But I can very well see why someone might pick Bilal. This fight is a really, really close fight. I think it is a 50-50 fight. That's it for this video. I don't think Gilbert will be able to finish Bilal. I think he will win a unanimous decision. This fight will go to a decision. That's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next video.